The holy grail of gold prospecting is to find a quartz vein that carries gold. This is known as a lode deposit, and it's the original source of where all the gold in your rivers and streams came from. This was a mission to see if the old timers who were working one of these lode deposits left us anything behind. With our boss looking over our shoulders, all we had to do was survive the banshee ants and collect some ore.
Why? Why? Why did I come back to the Badlands? Look at that thing.
He's trying to bite your camera.
I know, he's throwing up gang ant signs. 8 months ago, that was a weird, my voice just broke. Have I got testosterone? I'm going through puberty. 8 months ago, I dug a hole. To be almost exactly precise, that's the hole. This hole sits right next to an old hard rock mine. It's actually where we dug gold out of the ground. It's actually where the 1800s miners dug gold out of the ground from a lode deposit. And they were chasing this. It's quartz. Quartz is one of the most abundant minerals on Earth next to feldspar. And quartz is responsible for bringing the majority of the gold that you see in jewelry, electronics, and gold bars to the surface of the Earth so little rock goblins like me and Fern can go after it. This is my dogta, Dog Fern. That's a Gadsy. He needs an appointment.
Yeah.
Now Fern specializes in gold fever. You'd know all about that, wouldn't you?
I don't know about gold fever. I just need to get some gold right now. Just a little fix, man. Just a little fix. Just a little fix. I just need a bit of gold.
So while the doctor works on my Esche bro over here, we're going to scratch our own gold fever itch by mining some hard rock ore. Back in the 1880s, some old guys came and worked, well, probably young guys, right? Like they were probably younger than me. I would have been really old in the 1880s.
Well, I wasn't wrong. Back in the 1880s, I would have been about 12.2 years off death. And that's not including getting silicosis from hard rock mining. I love respirators and modern medicine.
Back in the 1880s, some guys came up here and stripped all this as a hydraulic mine. And when they did that, they uncovered this. A quartz vein that was carrying gold. This is called an auriferous vein. That means that pieces of quartz just like this had gold in it. And they decided to chase that deep into the bowels of Mordor, where they found not only shiny treasures, but giant spiders, because after all, it's Australia. 99% of quartz in any mine like this has no gold. I mean, 99% of quartz anywhere on Earth has no gold. It's basically useless.
Found something, Chris.
That is very cool.
Yeah. It smells like honey.
Smells like honey. That means that when they were chasing this vein, they were going on a very specific area. You can see just in this area here, they dove in on a little vein, but they didn't follow it too far in. Usually if the miners of the 1800s did that, there was something in that vein that was worth chasing to test, and then when they did their test, they found out that it wasn't enough gold. That has no relevance on us, Gadsy.
No, it doesn't.
I came forward of the mine and sunk a trench across until I found the vein. The vein pinches out at the top just here, and then it starts to widen out as we go deeper. When I took a sample of this home and crushed it up, guess what I found?
Honey?
Yeah!
Honey.
Honey-coloured rock, gold. I found gold. Metal detecting this area yielded a bunch of nuggets down here in the gully, but they're only really small. The biggest one was 0.2. Whereas the gold locked up in this vein down here was extraordinarily fine. Generally speaking, as you dig deeper into quartz veins like this, the less weathering they've gone through, and therefore the more gold you'll end up with. My first job of the day involves a pick and just a bunch of sweating.
Auriferous quartz veins like this tend to act exactly the same as a river or a stream. The gold isn't concentrated or dispersed throughout the rock equally. It will have richer and poorer sections, and you never know when you're going to hit the mother lode. That's why taking multiple small samples from different areas is absolutely critical.
I initially dug this hole in summer, and I've got a real good appreciation for just how hard the old boys had it. My dog tour is also learning a lot of self-control today. That's going to be a hard day's work for her. Alright, there's the vein. Right there. We've actually got a really good distinguishing line here. I'm just going to uncover it a little bit. It actually twists. There you go. So it comes in on this angle, and then at this point it twists around back towards my right foot here. What that means is the vein could shoot off in any direction at any point. It could pinch out too, but it looks like we've got at least a 3-inch vein, maybe a 4-inch vein at the wide points. You can see the color differentiation between the host bedrock here, which is this yellow, tan, cream color, and we've got very dark red, browns, and it is glassy. You can hear that quartz. So bedrock, quartz vein. What do you reckon, doctor? My initial sample came out of the face and I got some okay gold out of it. Not great, but okay. I want to take one out of the floor because I haven't done that yet and it's looking interesting. It's not exactly what I want to see. I want to see more sulfides in it, but still, it's all right. I really need to cut this section out here to give me a bit more working room. But down here, we've got the quartz vein that twists, and then this is the edge of it, just there. Unfortunately, we are limited to hand tools here, so I'm lucky that this vein is decayed, which is why I really only need a pick to be able to get it out, but man, a hammer drill would be nice. Wonderful view. But it's good to see that the quartz I'm breaking out actually has some sulfide pockets in it. There's a silvery material just in here, and the gold's often very close to and associated with that silvery material. The silvery material is sulfide. Sulfides are heavily associated with gold. It's usually clinging to the gold itself, if not coating it, and you can reveal more gold by oxidizing the sulfide, so using an agent like bleach or heating it. This is what we're collecting. This is what we want because it's got the minerals that are associated with gold in it. And we are deeper in the vein, right? So in theory, far less weathering, less oxygen, less water will have been in contact with this stuff. It hasn't taken long for me to run into the first issue that all the old miners used to run into, and that is width. Your mine is never wider than what you need to make it. You are never in your right mind going to dig a wide mine to make it slightly more comfortable for yourself when you're chasing ore. You're going to dig a hole that allows to fit you in, your tools in, to chase that vein, and that's it. You can see here that they opened up a vein that was relatively wide, but just wide enough for basically me to fit in that hole. And I've got the same problem in my hole, is that I'm chasing a vein that's this wide, but I need this much room to fit me and my tools in. So I'm having to cut out more host bedrock just to access where the vein is. This is literally why you find specimens in waste rock, because as you're throwing out the rock that's in the way, you'll cut across veins and maybe even chip into your main vein itself. So this here is stuff that's come off the top of the vein that I had to get out of the way, and there are pieces of quartz in it. So there could be specimens, there could be gold carrying ore in this rock. Stick! Sticks are the cure to gold fever, Gadsy.
Yeah, they are. She wants that so bad.
She wants the honey.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, we've got the vein exposed. Main vein comes in from the top, follow it down, and then we've got this little mound of dirt that I've exposed. I've taken all the host bedrock off this side. I've left my very own miner's marks in there, and this here is what we're after, so now we should have a little bit easier access. We do want to try and keep this stuff. This is the stuff that's in what we call the contact zone between the host rock and the quartz vein itself. Often gold will be in this primarily. The contact zone is more important than the vein itself. Look at that. Falls apart. My bucket is about half full. I got another half full bucket. I'm starting to get heavier sulfide pockets, which is what I was hoping for, because the heavier the sulfide pockets, the more gold there should be. But I've hit a criticality point. I've got to get these buckets out of the bush Fern's not very good at carrying them. So this is as much ore as I am going to pick up today. It looks okay. It's a little too white for my liking. It's a little too glassy, a little too white. I would like to see more sulfide pockets, but we are seeing sulfides. The only thing I got left to do here is metal detect to make sure I haven't missed any chunky nuggety bits before going home and crushing it. For the next part, I'm gonna need sunglasses, and you've got to enter my messy shed. This magnificent thing is a rock crusher designed to process gold ore that you find out of the mad mind of Stumpy Picks. This is probably the single best tool I own for hard rock prospecting. And it all has to do with these two pieces here. There's a third piece, but it's on the machine. This is a vacuum outlet, and this is a sealing plate. And up in that tube there is a classifying plate. You see, this is an impact mill. Inside here is a shaft that spins around at high speed powered by an angle grinder. Connected to that shaft is a bunch of chains. When you put your ore in the top here, the chains come in contact at quite a high velocity and they explode. Not the chains, the ore. The problem is if you have a sealed unit, you can only do so much ore, and that's fine if you're doing small samples, but if you've got a couple of buckets to put through like I do, you need an unlimited capacity machine. That's where this comes in. You hook that to your shop vac, and everything you feed in here gets sucked into the vacuum cleaner. So in other words, as long as your angle grinder has battery, and your chains don't wear out, you can keep pouring ore into this all day long, and you don't have to worry about silicosis like they did back in the 1800s. I have a Keen RC1 rock crusher which works great for large quantities of ore like I've got, but you can't put rocks this size in it because the inlet port only takes rocks up to 1 inch, whereas the Stumpy Picks one has no issue fitting these larger rocks. A massive shout out to Craig, one of my long-term supporters, who have sent me this in the mail. Safety equipment when doing something like this is of utmost importance. I know that I am wearing a beard, but I'm taking every other precaution that I can, including wearing a proper filtration mask when doing stuff like this, and I encourage everyone else to do so. So Craig, thank you so much for sending this in the post. Even though I have a really large inlet port, not all of these rocks are going to fit. Oh my god, there's actually crystals in this one. We're totally going to smash it, but that's kind of neat to see. Crystals in that rock. I'm just going through and making sure that there isn't anything of too big a size so we don't get slowed up in our processing. I want everything to run relatively smoothly today. That would be ideal. The best part of any packaging. Ooh. Look at that. These things always make me feel like a badass. I just need to get my rifle out of the gun safe and go on some kind of apocalypse mission now. I run into a slight problem. I've had to take the classifier plate off because my ore is wet from recent rain, meaning that it clogged up. If you've got dry ore, you're not going to have an issue, but I don't have that, so we have an issue. I was actually wondering if I could run this wet directly into a sluice box, but that's an experiment for another day. I have been emptying this periodically just so that I can see how we're going. Without that classifier plate, we're getting a rougher crush. Remember, this is just one pass. This does a lot better than the Keen RC1 on just one pass. Occasionally you're getting a big bit like this, but most of it is a talcum powder size, what we really want. Everything that didn't get reduced down to size is in my bucket. Now, I am really happy with that result. For one pass for such a small little unit, that is amazing. With that filter and some dry ore, if I let this dry out properly, it would be a lot faster. But wet pay dirt in general, wet ore, it tends to gum stuff up. This is everything under 1/8 inch. We've got a full Pancake Pan's worth. That is a metric shit ton of dirt, and a really nice mess on my workbench. There are 2 more stages to this. I got to blow the silt out of this, because if you don't get rid of all those really fine particles, it's very difficult to pan. Need more power. This does usually make a mess, but it's well worth doing. Silt's all blown out, and we're left with this. This is our ore processed down. Now we could absolutely go finer than this,
No shadow of a doubt in my mind. But when I'm doing sampling like this, I never ever do, because I don't want to waste my time grinding it right down for a maybe. So what I much prefer to do is do a good crush like this, where we get lots of very fine particles. We're going to release a lot of gold, get an idea of what's in the soil, and then I can always further process this. And if I get good stuff, that's what I do. We got about 1/3 of a bucket of our ore. Once we blew the silt out, we processed about 5 litres. 5 litres of ore works out to be about 13 kilos. You can probably take away a little bit for organic mass and things like that. So let's say about 10 kilos worth of crush. And today I'm going to be using one of my pancake pans to process the ore. The trick with these pans is always to never fill them up too much. You want to fill that center ring, and that's where you want to leave it. Apparently the dog next door is dying. The golden hard rock ore is often extremely fine. Rich, nuggety sections of vein do exist in my area, but they are the exception, not the rule. What I'm looking for here is a nice show of colour. Ideally, for a small sample like this, a few hundred little tiny dots of gold would be more than adequate to keep chasing it. My pan's full of concentrates, the whole bucket has been done. I'm going to tip this into a regular pan because the gold is going to be very, very fine if it's in there, and it's going to be easier to see in a regular pan. Moment of truth. Do we have gold any deeper in that vein? I'm going to expect to see sulfides. Our gold could be hiding in the sulfides. They can get a coating on it, and you can oxidize them away using fire or chemicals like bleach and oxidizer. But I'm really looking for free mill gold. Free mill gold in nature nowadays, that's mineable, is actually very rare. So getting any amount of gold will be good. And this is a small crush. Remember, we're talking about maybe 5 litres worth of dirt, 10 kilos. I can see gold. I'm pretty sure I can see gold. Very, very fine. Which means that my crushing is going to take extra time because of how fine that is. Oh, we got it, but it is super fine stuff. Hard rock mining is more complicated than alluvial mining. When you find a good deposit, you're going to find a really good deposit. Multiple ounces in every run, multiple grams in every pan. But most of the time, you're going to be dealing with small trace elements. The deeper you go into a vein, usually the richer it gets. And I'm still very much on the surface here. But for now, I did get some gold. And I did get some sulfides that can be hiding some gold. Have a look. The silver material is our sulfides. And obviously, the gold pieces in there are our gold. There is a lot of ultra fine gold mixed amongst those sulfides, which is a good indicator, but I might do a bit more poking around that area and just see if I can't find a vein that's a little bit richer. So there you have it. Now that we've confirmed there's gold there, it's time to go back and really hunt down where the good stuff is.